All right, I'm going to explain to you in under 5 minutes how you can pass any pilot check ride. Stand by. Okay, so this is actually applicable to all pilots, flight instructors, and examiners. Everyone from a current 121 airman down to an initial private pilot check. The Airman Certification Standards, ACS, is the most important document of the entire check ride, the oral portion and the flight portion. Let me explain. In the bottom pages of that document, it says the examiner has to use that document to conduct your entire check, the oral and the flight. Okay, there's a whole listing of tasks for knowledge sections, and there's bullet points under each one of those individual tasks. If you want to know what your check ride is going to look like, there's a table at the bottom of that document, and it lists all of the tasks that the examiner must do with you on the entirety of the check. Here's something I bet you didn't know about the ACS. Above each individual task, there's a listing of references. Those references are FAA publications and also free for download. Those references are the sole sources of information for where the examiner can pull questions and pull skills from. So the examiner should not be asking you questions on a random commercial instrument manual or Jim Bob's Advanced Aerodynamics manual. Although those documents may be supplemental and helpful in your answer back to the examiner, that's not where they're pulling the questions from. Let's go back to tolerances. Let's stick with steep turns, plus or minus 100 feet. Can you ever exceed those tolerances on a check ride? Actually, the answer is yes. In the bottom section again of that ACS, there's a listing of typical areas of unsatisfactory, one being consistently exceeding tolerances. As long as you take what the ACS says a prompt corrective action to get yourself back within those tolerances or back within plus or minus 100 feet, you're still considered satisfactory. But if you consistently exceed a tolerance, well, then that's unsatisfactory. Tolerances are different than limitations and different than regulations. Limitations, if you have a max flap speed and you exceed that with the flaps extended, that's unsatisfactory because that's an aircraft manufacturer requirement and limitation. There's no plus 10 on limitations. Regulations, if you exceed 250 knots below 10,000 feet, that's unsatisfactory because that's a regulatory requirement. That's not a tolerance. There's no plus 10 knots on regulations either.